Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of July. I hope you are. I'm using the Bauer tarot for you today. So, if you haven't seen these readings before, I structure them slightly differently to the main monthly reading, in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I think that there is wisdom, or a lesson, or however you want to put it, contained in every experience that we have. And I found over the years that navigating that energy, which can sometimes be quite challenging, is easier if I can work out why I'm in it in the first place. It's an exercise in perspective, if you will. So, to that end, I'm going to pull 3 cards and see where you are right now. And then I'll pull 3 cards and see if we can't work out what the lesson is, what is the wisdom. Sometimes it's teaching you something about yourself, sometimes showing you, the next step on your path. We won't know until the cards hit the table. And we'll close it out with some cards of advice. So let's have a look. 3 cards for Sagittarius, current energy, please. We have the High Priestess. Goodness, I'll take all of those. I've got the 4 of Swords, Death, and the Empress. I'm not going to take them because I only wanted 1 and I've got 3 there. But it looks like there's some sort of transformation going on with you at the moment. So in some ways you're kind of a little withdrawn, Saggy, but just a little. It's like there's quite a lot going on underneath the surface for you at the moment, and it's all leading to a transformation that is completely related to abundance for you in whatever way that applies, and it doesn't have to just be material. But it seems like there's a lot of processing of you at the moment and things that you understand about you. But there's also a lot of kind of applying it forwards. You're not afraid to look at yourself at the moment, Sag. So 2 more cards for Sagittarius, please. Thank you. We have the Lover's card. And we have the Hanged Man. So you've got the trifecta of major arcana right here. And it's interesting because it's water. And then we have Gemini, which is air. And then underneath we have the Hierophant. It's the shadow card at the bottom of the deck, which is earth. And it's followed by the King of Pentacles too. So not a wand in sight at the moment, which is very, very interesting. And I think, not that unexpected with the shifts and things that I'm feeling going on for you at the moment. So the High Priestess and the Hanged Man are both cards of Pisces. The cards that indicate a level of sensitivity to potentially one's environment, but also to one's self and one's emotions. This is something that it feels like you've been getting in touch with quite radically, actually, for the last few months. But it all seems to be leading you to a point. I'm looking at these 3 cards here as they're sat on the table, right? And those 2 Pisces cards are sandwiching this Lover's card here in the middle. Now, for some of you, there might be a relationship that's important in all of this, but actually, I think this kind of goes above that. Because the Lover's card is all about a choice. Right? Fundamentally, that's what it means. That's what it indicates. And not just any choice, but big life-changing choices. Life-changing decisions. And it feels like with these Piscean cards flanking it here, it feels very much like you are gearing up to make some very big changes. And the cards of Pisces are indicating the ways in which you are making peace with this within yourself. I love this High Priestess card in here. Right? She's just looking at her own reflection, but she's butt naked, right? So she's looking at herself. And I feel like she likes what she sees. There's a lot about yourself, Sagittarius, that you like now, which is actually kind of novel for you, okay, as an experience. But there's also a sense of her staring into the water, you know, gazing in a state of introspection with regard to the kind of choices that you feel are coming up for you in your life now. You know, it might be that you had considered that you were going to do things a certain way for the rest of your life, and actually a lot of that has been kind of thrown up into, I wouldn't say turmoil exactly, because there's a lot of peace associated with this here. But a lot of introspection and a lot of reflection and a lot of making peace with decisions that you have coming up. Right? Now, the fact that it's the High Priestess as well, I mean, there's great feminine wisdom being pulled through here. For some of you, it might even be a sense of being pulled in a particular direction and having thought ahead enough to see that there are going to be big changes coming up that you need to make. Right? And we're working out what you're happy to do and what you're not happy to do. And I think for the most part, what you're being called to do, you're actually quite comfortable with all over the shop, you know, like in every regard. This Hanged Man is quite interesting. Because of its passivity, you know, you've got the two most passive cards in the tarot on the table here, which is not energy that we associate particularly strongly with Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius is all about movement. It's about, you know, highly instinctive movement, always zooming. Like I say about my daughter, right? She just zooms everywhere. My Sagittarian partner zooms everywhere. It's actually, it's really entertaining to watch both of them zooming. This feels a little like the quiet before the storm, Sag, and you seem to be at a point of intuitive development now that you see that that is what it is too, and you are using that energy in the way that it is meant to be used, which is to look at yourself. You know, the Hanged Man can sometimes be a card of changing your perspective on things. And I think to a degree there has been a change of perspective, in so much as your life is not going to go the way that you thought it was 2 years ago, right? Everything's changed, and that's okay. You know, we're comfortable with that. But even in the last year, the things that you are contemplating now are not things that were in your consciousness this time last year. Even to sit and make your peace with something. Not go, well, fuck, it is what it is. I'm just going to have to deal with it, and I'll be resilient, and I'll just, you know, bump along, and it'll all be fine, and hopefully at some point it'll all just be okay. You know, no, there's deep contemplation of an adjustment coming up, or the possibility, the potential of adjustments coming. But the other thing that this card talks about is sacrifice. There are certain things that you are willing to sacrifice, Sagittarius, that you didn't think that you were going to have to, but there's a sense of a greater good going on here that I'm feeling. And it all revolves around the ways in which you are going to be changing your life. I feel in the next few months, looking at these. Now, it is possible with the Lover's card here that there is somebody else involved, and it is the sacrifices that you are willing to make for XYZ reason involving this person. It's possible. But actually, it feels like a lot of this is very much centered on you. And like I said, this is a very new position for you to be taking. To be contemplative and reflective enough to work out how this is all going to sit within you comfortably. And knowing that certain sacrifices that you need to make coming up won't necessarily feel too much like sacrifices. when it is time to make them. You know, this combination down here of the Hierophant and the King of Pentacles, both Taurian energy, could indicate that you're giving a lot of thought to hearth and home at this point, you know. But they're both cards that speak about responsibility. And there's a responsibility that you are feeling, perhaps to children, perhaps to family, perhaps to a partner, but ultimately, primarily to yourself. That perhaps has been quite absent in the Sagittarian discourse with oneself for many, many years. But here it is. You know, some of you might actually be thinking about moving. But it's commitment. It's knowing that the changes that you're going to make are planting a seed. You know, the sacrifices that you might be making coming up are planting a seed for something that ultimately will grow to be you know, much more satisfying than where you are now. This is huge, Sagittarius, because this is all about delayed gratification. Again, not things that have been top of a Sagittarian's agenda, right? The stereotype of the you know, Sagittarian kind of like hedonism, it's all about the here and now. You know, you have the most amazing ability to be able to live right in this current moment, right in this present moment. But something is shifting within you, and there's a bigger plan at play here. Maybe the thing that you are sacrificing is the gratification in the here and now. But the understanding that is implicit, as I'm seeing it here, is that what will come as a result is worth so much more. It's massive, Saggy. Let's have a look and see what the lesson is. Another lesson, please. Thank you. Whew. That's really interesting. When I picked up this deck, I dropped a card out of it before I started the recording. And it was the Devil. And I was like, who? And here it is on the table. We've got the Tower and the Devil tumbled out together. And there's that combination again that dropped out at the beginning. Death and the Empress. And the Queen of Pentacles. Sagittarius, you are the only sign that I have read for this 2-week period here who have had virtually all major arcana. Whether or not you are aware of it, there is something tremendous going on with you at the moment. It is huge, because it's not just about what you are doing in the day-to-day. Like there's an incredible amount of soul growth going on here. Huge maturation. And it's subtle. This is the thing. It could have been that you might have missed this at years in the past because you were busy like zooming and, you know, just doing stuff and living in the moment, that you sometimes miss the nuances of situations. I don't think that you're missing anything at this moment. You know, it could be that if you are getting signs for things, you are hyper aware of them, hypersensitive to them. And it's like you can't look anywhere without there being something firing off a connection in your head, and you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, you could be in the grip of a really big fucking spiritual awakening at the moment, Sagittarius. God, was that not the topic of your July reading? I can't remember. Fucking brain injury, right? But in terms of the lesson, the wisdom that is here for you, right? Why have 3 cards when you can have 5, right? We've got the Tower and we've got the Devil. Now, in a lot of ways, Sagittarians aren't afraid to throw chips up in the air and see where they land, right? Mutable fire. Let's just see what happens. But there are some things in that that are kind of off limits. It could be that your family situation is one of those, maybe your work situation, something like that. Or even just the amount that you are prepared to sacrifice for other people, right? There's a million ways in which this could play out. But with this Tower card and this Devil card here, what we got is those things that were restricting you. And possibly, with it being the Tower card here and the Devil card even together, possibly you not even realizing that you've been restricted in these ways until the shackles start to come off, and then you're like, whoa, holy shit. And by this, I mean the way that you choose to live your life, right, is as a result of a particular script that you've been running within you for a long time. So, right, so there's an expectation that I will react X, Y, Z way because I'm, you know, I am Sag and that's what I do. It feels like you're pulling down towers. These towers are internal, right? The Devil here is internal for you. The things that you've been low-key scared about for a long time, they're being pulled down. So for you, that might be intimacy, that might be trust, that might be, you know, fear of intimacy and trust, rather, should I say. It could be allowing anyone to have any kind of influence over your life whatsoever, you know. It could be vulnerability. These things that you have been scared of, now tumbling away. But you're starting to understand what true liberation is now. Not the pseudo liberation that you thought you were experiencing before. There's a transformation also of what you understand to be abundance. Yeah? For some of you it might have been money, for some of you it might have been, you know, the ability to go out on a weekend and, you know, enjoy yourself with friends. There's a deeper truth that is exposing itself here to you, Sagittarius. And maybe that deeper truth is that, you know, at a certain stage in your spiritual development, as you are now, that commitment to something does not need to tether you. Commitment, when it comes from a place of radical self-acceptance, is actually something that can light you up all day long. But this last card, being a Capricorn card, Queen of Pentacles here, it's an understanding. Look at this, we still don't have a single fucking fire element card on the table here. It's an understanding that you need to be nurtured by yourself, first and foremost, but by those relationships around you that nourish you, and that you are willing to commit to nourishing in return. And that doesn't lead you to be trapped. You know, it's almost like your idea of what is trapped and what is liberated is all getting flipped around on its head. It's quite possibly part of the Hanged Man energy here for you. You see that perhaps in some ways you've had everything ass backwards. But ultimately all of this starts with you. Looking at yourself, accepting yourself, being grateful for the abundance that you do have, and choosing to commit to what is worthy of your commitment. Because I think for a lot of you, you're going to realize that the things that you thought you were committed to before, there was always a niggling feeling associated with it. You know, like, it just isn't quite right for me, and maybe I should have made different life choices, but it's here now and it is what it is, so I'm just going to roll with it, you know. There's something about it, your past experiences, where you see that still small voice was perhaps the thing that was trying all of this time to push you towards understanding that until you accept yourself, until you are, you know, peaceful with yourself, you can't accept and be at peace with other people. And that what felt like commitment in the past was actually just you being trapped. And how all of that has flipped on its head. And now commitment feels special to you because it's coming from that open and vulnerable place. This is wonderful, Sagittarius. I love this. Give me some cards of advice for Sagittarius, please. Oh, fucking hell. What do we have here? We have the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck and the Ace of Pentacles. Do not underestimate your ability to understand situations now, right? I think for a lot of Sagittarians, you kind of gone, you know, sort of accepting that you will have, you know, for the want of a better phrase, like blonde moments about things, right? Because you know historically that you don't notice nuance and things like that. Maybe you miss things in dynamics, or you forget to do something, you know, somebody fucking hauls you over the coals for it because you were on some sort of, you know, awesome imaginary daydream, or because you just forgot because you were zooming around doing something else, right? That isn't applicable to you anymore, Sagittarian. Like it's like lose that narrative because it doesn't actually apply anymore. You have the King of Swords. Not only do you understand deeply everything that is going on around you at the moment, but you actually are finding yourself developing an ease for communication. I'm not just talking about, you know, like shooting the shit with people and, you know, being funny and all that kind of thing, but like being able to express what is within you much more easily than at any other point in your life. And understanding it, like there's nothing slipping past you at the moment, Sagittarius. But have the faith. Because here's that fucking, you know, we've got swords and we've got pentacles again. Here's the Ace of Pentacles. Here's that seed that we were talking about right at the beginning. And it's an opportunity, and it could be for a new job or a new house or whatever it is. But the delayed gratification that you are willing to start practicing is very, very close to being planted. All of this peacemaking that you are, you know, engaging with yourself is for this here, and it is coming. The cards of advice are the Ten of Wands, interestingly, the Two of Pentacles, and the Nine of Swords in reverse. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you to you know, think positively about stuff, because I think when people hammer you with that, and it's something that's particularly prevalent in the spiritual community, it's all mindset. You got to keep everything positive 24/7, and it's like, well, actually, do you know what? No, sometimes things are just shit, and you need to sit with why they're shit and then deal with it, right? Process it, then release it and let that shit go. You know, you can't do that if you're being positive all the time and ignoring it. But nevertheless, I think that where things are hard at the moment, it wouldn't be a bad thing to just keep your eye on that distant goal. You know, the Ten of Wands is a card of burden. It is a card of working hard. But I don't feel it's particularly burdening you at this time. Because it's also a card of completion, right? So where things have been a bit difficult, and that could be in relationships potentially, but I feel like a little less so than anything else. But maybe just in your day-to-day. I mean, this is the only fucking only wands card that's appeared in your entire reading, Sagittarius, here, and it's a one of, things are a little bit hard. I think the little bit hard is possibly keeping enthusiasm for stuff that is right in front of you, for the stuff that is the here and now and has probably been for quite a long time, when you are looking to move beyond that, when you are looking for the new start in whatever way that applies. But it's followed up with the Two of Pentacles, and so it feels like just stick with it just a little bit longer. Keep your eye on the goal. Remember why you are delaying the gratification, because all of this will be worth it in the end. And you've got the Nine of Swords in reverse. You know, if you've been worrying about things, if you've been concerned about things, like, know that this is all coming to completion very, very soon. Very, very soon. And all of the worry and the anxiety will just just disappear. Right? It's just gone. All of the things that are difficult, just gone. You just need to maintain your balance in the midst of it all for just a little bit longer. I love this reading for you, Sagittarius. I think it's awesome, right? I really hope that helped. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.